Hello, friends. Welcome back to Whispers of Time. What if the real reason most people stay stuck is not lack of talent, but the habits they ignore every single day? Some people work hard for years and still feel invisible. Some dream big but never move forward. Some know exactly what they should do, yet their life never changes. Not because they are weak, not because they are unlucky, but because they quietly destroy their future through small daily mistakes they never notice. A young man once believed success belonged only to gifted people. Every morning he woke up with motivation. He watched videos, made plans, wrote goals, and imagined a better future. But every night he slept with disappointment. Nothing changed. Weeks passed. Months passed. His confidence slowly disappeared. The painful truth was simple. He was chasing success without building the skills that create it. The first thing destroying his growth was dishonesty. Not big lies, small ones. He lied to others to look successful. He lied to himself to avoid responsibility. When friends asked if he was improving, he said yes. When family asked if he was working hard, he said yes. But deep inside, he knew the truth. He was wasting time while pretending to grow. At first, nobody noticed. People believed him. They respected his words. But slowly, the cracks appeared. Promises were broken. Excuses increased. Trust disappeared. And once trust disappears, people stop believing in you, even when you finally tell the truth. One day he met an older shop owner who had spent 30 years building a small business. The old man was not rich, not famous, not highly educated, but everyone respected him. Customers trusted him completely. The young man asked him, "How did you build such strong success?" The old man smiled and said, "I never tried to look successful. I only tried to be truthful." That sentence changed something inside him. He realized honesty is not weakness. Honesty removes fear. When you stop lying, your mind becomes lighter. You stop acting. You stop hiding. You become real. And real people create strong relationships. From that day, he stopped pretending. If he failed, he admitted it. If he wasted time, he accepted it. Slowly, people began trusting him again. And with trust came opportunities. But another problem still controlled his life: inconsistency. Every Monday he felt powerful. He planned everything perfectly. Wake up early, study daily, exercise, improve his skills. But by Thursday, his energy disappeared. By Friday, he quit completely. This cycle repeated again and again until he became frustrated with himself. One rainy evening, he watched construction workers repairing a broken road. Day after day, they returned to the same place. Same work, same effort, no excitement, no motivation speeches, just daily action. Weeks later, the road was completely transformed. That moment taught him something important. Big results are never built in one day. They are built quietly through repetition. Most people fail because they depend on feelings. When they feel motivated, they work. When they feel tired, they stop. But success does not care about mood. Success rewards consistency. So he changed his approach. Instead of studying 5 hours once a week, he studied 30 minutes every single day. Instead of chasing perfection, He focused on small progress. At first, the results felt invisible. Nothing dramatic happened. But after several months, his confidence became stronger. His skills improved. His discipline grew. Small actions repeated daily began changing his entire identity. Then came another hidden problem that was damaging his future without him realizing it. Poor respect for time. He was always late. Late to meetings, late to work, late to promises. He believed a few minutes did not matter. But people slowly stopped taking him seriously. One morning, he arrived late to an important interview. The manager looked at him and said calmly, "If you cannot respect time, people will never trust you with responsibility." That sentence stayed in his mind for weeks. He finally understood punctuality is not about clocks. It is about character. Successful people respect time because they understand time is life itself. Every wasted hour is a piece of life that never returns. The next day he made a painful decision. He stopped making excuses. No more blaming traffic. No more blaming stress. No more blaming circumstances. He began arriving early everywhere he went. 10 minutes early, sometimes 15. At first, it felt uncomfortable. But slowly, people noticed the change. Employers trusted him more. Friends respected him more. His stress became lower because he no longer rushed through life. For the first time, he felt in control. But perhaps the biggest change happened when he stopped trying to succeed alone. For years, he isolated himself. He believed asking questions made him look weak. He avoided conversations. He stayed disconnected from people who could help him grow. Then, one evening at a local library, he met a group of people discussing business ideas, self-improvement, and discipline. Listening to them opened his eyes. Their conversations were different. They spoke about solutions instead of complaints, goals instead of excuses. He realized something dangerous. The people around you slowly shape your thinking. Negative people normalize failure. Focused people normalize growth. So he started building better connections. He learned to listen carefully, to communicate honestly, to support others without expecting immediate rewards. And something surprising happened. New opportunities appeared. Guidance appeared. Confidence appeared. Because success grows faster when the right people walk beside you. Many people spend years trying to change their future while keeping the same habits, the same mindset, and the same environment. But real growth begins the moment you become honest with yourself, consistent with your actions, respectful toward time, and connected with people who push you forward. That is where transformation truly starts. The event, he noticed something surprising. The people who influenced others most were not always the smartest people in the room. They were the people who could express ideas clearly and confidently. Their words created trust. Their voice created impact. That realization pushed him to improve even more. Every morning he practiced speaking for 10 minutes without stopping. Some days he talked about goals. Other days he described his problems honestly. At first his sentences were weak and uncertain, but little by little his voice became stronger. His thoughts became clearer. And as his communication improved, something else began changing quietly inside him: his self-discipline. This became the hardest battle of all, because discipline is difficult when nobody is watching. One cold morning his alarm rang before sunrise. His body felt heavy. His mind immediately started creating excuses. "You worked hard yesterday. You can rest today. One missed day is not a problem." Before, he always listened to those excuses. That was why he kept restarting his life again and again. But this time was different. He remembered something the old shop owner once told him: "Your future changes the moment your excuses stop controlling your actions." That sentence echoed inside his mind, so instead of turning off the alarm, he stood up. The action looked small, but for him, it felt like winning a war against himself. This was the painful truth he finally understood. Most people are not destroyed by failure. They are destroyed by comfort. They wait for the perfect mood, the perfect energy, the perfect moment. And while they wait, years disappear. Discipline means acting even when you do not feel ready. The young man began building strict routines. He woke up at the same time every morning. He studied even on difficult days. He finished tasks before relaxing. Slowly, his mind stopped fighting every decision because discipline was becoming automatic. But distractions still surrounded him everywhere. Whenever work became difficult, his phone offered easy escape, endless scrolling, short videos, mindless entertainment, temporary comfort. At first, he believed these distractions were harmless. But one evening, he checked his screen time and felt shocked. Hours of his life had disappeared into meaningless activities. That night, he sat silently in darkness, asking himself another painful question. How can I build a strong future while feeding weak habits every day? The answer forced him to change his environment. He removed unnecessary apps from his phone. He stopped carrying distractions into his workspace. He created quiet periods where he focused only on one task. At first, focus felt impossible. His mind jumped from thought to thought. After 5 minutes, he wanted to check notifications again. After 10 minutes, he felt restless. But he kept training himself. 30 minutes of deep focus became 1 hour. 1 hour became 2. Slowly, his concentration grew stronger. And then, something incredible happened. Tasks that once took an entire day were completed within hours. His learning became faster. His confidence became stronger because he was finally seeing real progress. He discovered a truth most people never realize. Being busy is not the same as being productive. Many people fill their days with noise and movement, but never complete meaningful work. Real progress happens when attention is focused deeply on what truly matters. One afternoon at the library, he noticed 2 students preparing for an important exam. The first student constantly switched between studying and social media. Every few minutes he checked messages, watched videos, or complained about stress. The second student sat quietly with complete concentration. No distractions, no unnecessary movement, just deep focus. Weeks later, the difference became obvious. One remained frustrated and confused. The other moved forward with confidence. The young man finally understood why focus is so powerful. Energy scattered in many directions creates weak results. Energy concentrated on one goal creates transformation. But growth brought another challenge. As his habits improved, he started noticing how much he still did not know. At first, this realization frightened him. He thought successful people reached a point where they knew everything. Then he met a businessman nearly twice his age, who still carried books everywhere he went. Curious, the young man asked, "After all these years, why do you still study every day?" The businessman smiled and replied, "The moment you stop learning, your growth begins dying." That sentence stayed with him for days. He realized many people slowly become trapped by their comfort zone. They stop asking questions, stop improving, stop adapting. And because the world keeps moving forward, they quietly fall behind. So he developed a new habit. Every day he spent time learning something new, sometimes from books, sometimes from conversations, sometimes from mistakes. He stopped fearing beginner stages. He stopped feeling embarrassed when he lacked knowledge. Instead of protecting his ego, he focused on growth, and little by little, his thinking expanded. Problems that once looked impossible became manageable. Challenges stopped terrifying him because he understood something powerful. Learning gives people the ability to adapt. The more he learned, the more valuable he became, and for the first time in his life, he no longer felt trapped by the person he used to be. For years, the young man believed success would arrive like a sudden miracle. He imagined one perfect opportunity changing everything overnight. But after all the struggles, failures, distractions, and painful lessons, he finally understood the truth. Success is not built in one giant moment. It is built quietly through daily decisions nobody notices. Yet one final problem still held him back more than anything else: overthinking. Every time he wanted to start something important, fear stopped him. He planned too much, thought too much, waited too much. When he wanted to begin a project, his mind whispered, "You are not ready yet." When he wanted to apply for opportunities, fear told him, "What if you fail?" When he wanted to take risks, doubt pulled him backward. And slowly, he realized something dangerous. Thinking can become another form of hiding. One evening, while walking through crowded streets after heavy rain, he saw a small food seller struggling to protect his cart from the storm. The man looked exhausted. Water covered the road. Strong wind pushed against him. But despite everything, he kept moving. The young man asked him, "Why don't you stop and wait until conditions become better?" The seller laughed softly and answered, "If I wait for perfect conditions, my family will starve." That sentence hit him deeply. Most people spend their entire lives waiting for confidence, waiting for certainty, waiting for perfect timing. But life keeps moving while they stand still. That night, the young man sat at his desk staring at unfinished goals written months earlier. Some dreams had remained untouched for years, not because they were impossible, because he never truly started. He finally understood something painful. Knowledge without action changes nothing. Dreams without action remain fantasies. Planning without action becomes procrastination disguised as preparation. The next morning, he made a decision that frightened him. Instead of preparing endlessly, he took action immediately. He started applying for work opportunities even though he felt nervous. He began projects before feeling fully ready. He stopped waiting for confidence and started building confidence through movement. At first, mistakes came quickly. Some people rejected him. Some plans failed. Some efforts produced disappointing results. There were days when frustration almost pulled him backward again. but something inside him had changed. Before, failure used to stop him. Now failure became his teacher. Each mistake revealed weaknesses he could improve. Each difficult experience made him mentally stronger. Slowly, fear lost its power because action was replacing hesitation. And then he noticed something surprising. The people moving ahead in life were not always the smartest people. Often they were simply the people willing to act before feeling ready. While others kept overthinking, they moved. While others waited for certainty, they learned through experience. While others stayed trapped in fear, they built momentum. Momentum became one of the biggest changes in his life. Small actions created small progress. Small progress created confidence. Confidence created bigger action. And bigger actions slowly transformed his entire future. One afternoon, he returned to the same tea shop where the older man still spent mornings reading quietly. The old man looked at him carefully and smiled. "You look different now." The young man nodded slowly. "I stopped waiting," he replied. The old man closed his book and said something the young man would never forget. Most people waste years trying to escape difficult situations while repeating the same habits that created those situations. The sentence exposed a truth many people avoid. People want better lives without changing their mindset. They want success without discipline, growth without discomfort, confidence without action. But transformation demands responsibility. The young man remembered the person he used to be, someone controlled by excuses, distractions, inconsistency, and fear. Someone who blamed motivation, circumstances, and luck. Now he understood that real growth begins when a person stops blaming the world and starts controlling themselves. Honesty taught him to face reality. Consistency taught him that small actions shape identity. Punctuality taught him respect for time. Strong connections taught him the importance of environment. Time management taught him control. Communication taught him confidence. Discipline taught him action despite discomfort. Focus taught him where energy creates results. Learning taught him adaptation. And action taught him the lesson that changed everything. Movement creates opportunity. One winter evening, while standing alone under city lights, he realized his life was no longer controlled by confusion. Problems still existed. Difficulties still appeared. But he was no longer weak in front of them, because skills had changed him from the inside. Many people believe successful lives are built by luck, talent, or special advantages. But the truth is much simpler and much harder. Daily habits quietly shape destiny. The way you use time, the way you respond to fear, the way you control distractions, the way you act when nobody is watching. These invisible decisions slowly build the future. And the difference between people who remain stuck and people who transform their lives often comes down to one thing. Some only dream, others begin. The young man finally understood that success is not reserved for perfect people. It belongs to those who keep moving forward, even when progress feels slow, even when fear exists, even when nobody notices. Because every disciplined action, every honest decision, every focused effort builds a stronger future, piece by piece. And sometimes the most powerful moment in a person's life is not when they achieve success, but when they finally stop waiting and decide to become the person capable of creating it.